Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is about that time. Keep your hands up and keep your head on a swivel. The Haymakers and Submissions podcast is here. We woke up and chose violence today. Stick and stay for combat sports talk at its finest, coming your way now. Welcome, everybody, to Haymakers and Submissions, the podcast. My name is Dave Drew, and I'm joined by Michael Mills Chops. Big Chops, how you doing?
Good, man. Good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm starting to get a little fired up now. My attention's been diverted from football now. I don't want to.
I know.
And now I'm focused on the sweet science, and we got a lot going on, especially in February.
How you feeling, man? I mean,
you want the truth. I'm going to say it now because the season's done. After all those injuries happened to the Lions on the defensive side of the ball by mid-season, I had a sick feeling in my stomach that this just wasn't going to happen, but they kept winning. And they kept doing it impressively. And it's like, well, ride or die, let's go. They're playing good. And the way they played Minnesota that last game of the season, it looked good. But, the playoffs are a different beast. And realistically, even when we talked on the Sports Peninsula podcast about we wrapped the season up, said realistically, knowing what a struggle it was against Washington, even if they would have come out on top of that, highly doubt they'd get by Philly. We asked out loud, what do they need? Well, you probably could use another edge rusher. Well, there's Hutchinson. He's been on the IR for three quarters of the season. Probably need some more push up front in the middle. Oh yeah, Lee McNeil. He'll be ready to go. You need that second level, man. What about Derek Barnes? Well, we'll get him back too. Man, could use another corner. Well, that Carlton Davis would have helped out quite a bit. And it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse, but it's just the way it happened.
And here's the thing. I hate when people say that, though. It's not an excuse. And it's always people really that don't play, that, you're giving excuses. And I understand it in that aspect, next man up. I get that.
Yep. But
you're the NFL. You're the best football players on the globe. We see that when you watch USFL, Arena, whatever it is, the European League, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Arena ball. None of those leagues compete with the NFL, and you see a significant drop-off. So having said that, if you lose one or two guys on your defense, okay, maybe three you can squeak by. But when you have that many misses and losing that many players on one side of the ball, you can't get that many replacements. You just can't.
Yeah.
Not in the NFL. And that's where and it's not even, there's a difference between excuses and reasons. 22 guys, something like that, crazy on defense on IR.
At one time,
It literally, at that point, you're getting guys to play on Sunday who 2 weeks ago were delivering packages for UPS.
True.
You know what I mean? So it was a hell of a run, and Campbell very well easily, with what he had to deal with, coach of the year. You know what I mean? Seriously, coach of the year. I understand they went to the NFC Championship game, or they went a far run last year, but with what he's playing backups of backups. You know what I mean? So, and it was still, it was, and you could see it because the offense did what they needed to do, but the defense was like.
Yeah, and bottom line, the offense didn't play great. Jared Goff had a subpar game. There's no doubt about that. But, I'm optimistic. The reason I'm not distraught about it, I'm optimistic about next year. This team's going
without question. Question.
Someone better show me a hell of a roster that would make me think, well, yeah, they'll probably beat Detroit in the Super Bowl. I honestly think they're going to the Super Bowl next year.
But they said it. Every level you guys were hurting. Every level you got backups playing backups. Every level, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, above you guys, I still feel pretty good about going to next year. It stinks because you had a nice run, a hell of a run, and Campbell did a lot of great things. But like I say, playoffs are different. You know what I mean? And you need your best guys. And hell, if you think about it, MVP, one of the best guys in the league, Lamar, he didn't play perfect.
Nope.
And it cost his team. Where on the other side, you had Josh Allen, who didn't put up a lot of numbers. He didn't. He had 140, 150 complete, or 165 something complete in passing and rushing. But he made no mistakes, no turnovers, no fumble, no INT, nothing of that nature. in the playoffs is a different breed. And it did, you know what I mean? Between a lack of talent. And I hate to say that, but it was just lack of talent. I mean, you guys had backups on backups playing. But if I'm you guys in the Detroit Lions, I feel pretty good about next year.
Yeah,
right now
I'm curious what they're going to do about the coaches.
That's where I was going. Ooh, that's going to be, we'll see.
Well, I mean, everyone and their mother knew Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn were going. And
yeah,
I think it's great they're getting an opportunity. I mean, I know a lot of fans are pissed off that Johnson went to Chicago. It's like, what's he going to do? I mean,
look, man, if you work for Pepsi and Coke is calling and offering you a better position, you're going. If you work for McDonald's and Burger King calls, you're going. You know what I mean? People kill me with that. I can't believe you went to Chicago.
People forget he could have went last year.
Yeah.
He could have left after last season, and he didn't do that. So, good luck to all those guys. But losing Terrell Williams, the defensive line coach, that was a little bit of a surprise. They could lose Hank Fraley, their offensive line coach, and they could lose Calvin Shepard, their linebackers coach, who's in line possibly for the DC job there.
Yeah.
So that could hit deep. I mean, if they lose 5 coaches, that could hit deep.
But I'd be surprised. Why would he leave Detroit to go to Washington for the same position unless they're offering him more money?
Well, it would be
from Detroit.
The rumor is that Shepard would follow Glenn to New York and become the DC for Aaron Glenn, which would be a promotion for him. Hank Fraley was interviewing with Seattle for the OC job, which would be a promotion for him. Terrell Williams went and with Mike Vrabel on the New England coaching staff. Yeah. They're familiar with, I guess, from Tennessee, I believe. So
yeah, you don't think Campbell offer your boy the OC position there rather than jumping ship to go elsewhere?
Well, it's possible. I haven't read a lot about that yet. I did read about Shepard being possibly in line for the DC job, so that's a possibility. Maybe Fraley too, because Fraley's one of the few holdovers from the Matt Patricia staff. Campbell kept him, so he's done a hell of a job too. So yeah, we'll see what happens. It'll be an interesting offseason.
Okay, hey, it will be. It will. But no matter who your boy Campbell brings in, they're going to have his mindset. They're going to, you know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. We'll definitely see how it goes.
Well, let's talk about some MMA action, Chops. First off, let's review the UFC 311 from last weekend, man. Talk about what you saw.
Man, like I said, it was to the average fan, a lot of these names weren't known, but all these guys were baggers. So it was what I expected. It was an entertaining card with a lot of action, not a lot of blood, not a lot of amazing knockouts where you're like, oh my, not a lot of that, but it was good action, man. It really was. And to start out, Rene Radier did what I thought he was going to do, and he got well. First off, he came in at what I think they were middleweights, and he just looked significantly bigger. He just looked, significantly bigger than Holland. And it was weird because Holland, he weighed in. He made the 185 weight. But if you'd have told me he was 200, 205, Radier by Bell, I'd have believed it. He just looked so much bigger. Like, how do you get that down to 185? And he's a man, his ground game is ridiculous. But Holland has his black belt, but there's levels to it. There really is. And Holland is a great fighter. He's got skill. He's athletic on his feet. But he took him down as Radier took him down, and that was all she wrote. It really was. And he got him with the rear naked. In the way, I won't say Holland gave up his back, but it was never a question. It really was never a question. It was over pretty quick. First round, of course, so, and I don't know, Holland, I want to say he's lost 4 of his last 5. So I don't know how much longer he'll be on, because he's a great fighter. He is an entertaining fighter, but I don't want to say ego in this one, because he was just, Radier's no joke on the ground. You knew that's where it was going. But there's been some other fights where he could have beat the guy standing up or this, that, whatever, could have taken him down. He said, well, I'll do a gentleman's agreement and stand up with you, whatever it may be. So I'm interested to see what they do with Holland, because Dana's one of those guys that you lose too many, he's going to get rid of you because there's so many guys trying to come up, so many guys that want a shot between Dana White's contender series, everything he's got going on. There's more guys in waiting trying to get in. You can shake a stick at. You know what I mean? So he'll do that if he rates PFL 1, whatever he may do. So he's always got guys that he can bring in.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Almeida and Sergey Spivak, right? 2 heavyweights, and these cats can move, man. They can move. They were the big boys on the card. And Spivak, I want to say it's Ukraine or Russian or something. You know, I don't know the exact country word, but I wouldn't say he's just like a Russian. And he's a gamer. He really is. Almeida shocked me. I mean, from the jump, he was on him. End up mounting him towards the end and just punished him. Just punished him. Not bloodied and battered and that nature, but he punished him, and it was shocking. I mean, got the takedown easily, and at no point was it ever, oh, this could go either way. Oh, this is what it was. No, it was. Now he got the stoppage. They had went. I mean, I don't think there was 10 seconds left in the round when the ref stopped it. So part of you's like, man, you don't want to give me extra seconds, but then again, you're like, there was 8 to 9 seconds left. You could throw a big man like that could throw 2 or 3 punches, 4 punches in 8, 9 seconds and really hurt a guy.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So you understand why he stopped it. Not saying you liked why he stopped it, but you understand why he stopped it, you know? So again, Almeida taking out Spivak was a great fight. I mean, a lot of there, as long as it went, they were both throwing, they were both game. Almeida took him down, mounted him, and that was pretty much it. Now, Yuri Prochazka and Jamel Hill. Man, I did have Prochazka winning. Hill is a better athlete, but Prochazka, like I told you, man, he lives by the Bushido code, samurai, whatever have you. He's just a different type of dude. The crazy thing is, Hill was throwing a lot of wide. Okay, real quick. In MMA, you'll hear guys say, "Oh, he's a great stand-up. His boxing is great." For MMA, yes. But you know there's a difference between MMA stand-up and boxing, and I'm talking just hands, compared to boxing with just hands. Much. And these guys in MMA, they're not throwing the crisp boxing jab. They don't throw the hook where you roll with the hips like you do in boxing. So it's different. So Jamel Hill was throwing a lot of looping hooks. And your boy went to the 3rd round, but Prochazka was starting to time it. And that one was nasty. I mean, he damaged Hill's face. It was nasty. It was ugly looking, right? So, but on that, he just keep pushing, pushing away, got a knockdown in the 3rd. Hill got up fast. So he took a shot with it, but the way he fell and then rolled back up, you're like, it's not a flash knockdown and you're hurt. But Hill was so much, I finish on my shield. You know what I mean? Or go out on your shield, finish standing up. He got back up and just kept taking punishment. And they ended up stopping that in the 3rd, I think, with maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes left to go in that one. But there was a lot of action. But I don't want to shortchange Hill because he was giving as good as he was getting. He really was. He was giving as good as he was getting. But I want to say overall, the more solid, harder punches, probably with the significant strikes, I'd go with Prochazka. But really, what ended up catching Hill was he threw that looping, almost lunging hook or whatever. And Prochazka wasn't even doing a whole lot of technique. Just boom, just getting out of range. As soon as he get out of range, he'd come with something, whatever. And that was ultimately the end of it. So again, Hill has had some big wins. He held the belt for a minute. I don't know where he goes from here. I really don't. And it was that way for both of them. Because even though Prochazka's losses were in his rematch to he has 4 or 5 losses now. But his loss in the UFC, his last 2, whatever, were to Pereira. No shame in that. You know what I mean? No shame in that. So, and Hill, he also lost to Pereira. So both of these guys needed a win to get back I don't even want to say for confidence, just to get back on the track on that side of the win on that side of the win column, whatever have you, to see where they go. So Prochazka got that, and he did. He looked good winning. I mean, it was a nice fight. He looked good winning. So then we had Devashvili, Merab versus Umar Nurmagomedov. Man, and it was attrition. It was a war by attrition to me. Merab won. To me, he was a clear-cut victor. Didn't beat Umar up. He didn't beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a clear-cut victor. One of the biggest things was, I think 10 or 11, maybe 12 takedowns he had on Nurmagomedov. That is like, you're a Detroit Lions fan. Picture someone routinely tackling Barry Sanders one-on-one in open field. Barry's looking at the safety coming up. Barry tries to put a move, put a spin, no matter what happens, the guy takes him down. That'd be pretty unheard of. You know what I mean? So
I think it happened 3 times in 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and having said that, Nurmagomedov hadn't been in a fight where he'd been outworked. He hadn't been in a fight where he's getting taken down. He hadn't been in a fight to where I'm shooting on you and I'm taking my shot and you're sprawling and I don't get to take down. Umar showed there were levels to this. And even between rounds, and not between during rounds, Merab is showboating, like Umar might throw a punch and Merab is looking or just playing. And I think he also sort of did that to let people know, don't think I'm in danger here. I don't want you to give these rounds to this guy because of his name, because I am the champ. I've earned it. And I'm doing something to him that's never been done. These Dagestani fighters, they don't know what it's like, Drew, to be taken down. They will bend their there's no saying in fighting. If you can't fight on the ground, you can't fight. If you're a wrestler, you have a wrestling background, you can pretty much dictate where the fight goes. Even if someone has significantly better hands than you, if you want to stand with him, you can very easily get knocked out. But if a boxer and a wrestler are going, the wrestler can very easily, most likely, if he decides from the jump, I'm taking you down, unless you time that right, he's going to take that boxer down. You know what I mean? He's just going to take that boxer down. And so Umar, to not be able to get the takedown when he wanted, that's a whole new ball of wax he didn't see. He didn't realize. And when I'm telling you that Merab, I don't know if he tied it or if he broke the record for takedowns against a Dagestani or against a Nurmagomedov, unheard of. So it was a close fight on the aspect they were brawling, they were going at it. But to me, I had Merab winning 49-46. I know some gave him 48-49, but I had him run like 49-46. I had him run like 3-3, possibly 4 to 5 rounds. But it was a good fight. And it was crazy because, again, you've never seen a Dagestan wrestler that got dominated like this. And I hate to say, and again, someone else, it may not have been domination, but when you know his pedigree, his background, that was domination. That was really domination. But the scary part is Umar's going to be back, and he's going to be even better. He's going to be even better. So we'll see how that one goes. And then finishing the night off, man, it was Islam Makhachev versus Renato Money Mercado. And first off, he filled in for Sarukian. Now, Sarukian ended up calling day, and I think it was like 1-2 in the morning, saying, I got back problems. I got back pain. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Called him next morning. No, I'm out. Still don't know significantly what it was. Mm-hmm. Sarukian has been in some battles. And we had went over this. But remember, we also went over it where I said, I didn't like what he had said in an interview. I don't need fighting. These other guys need it. I don't need it. So, and he had talked about how he can make money outside of the ring after he's done with UFC. So I didn't like that mindset going in. And then 24 hours before the fight, he pulls out. You know what I mean? So I didn't. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I didn't like it. And so that didn't, that didn't go out. So Moicano, who was Benil Dariush, he was supposed to fight Dariush. I think the way it works, say you and I are supposed to fight, and at the last minute, like Moicano got pulled up, Dariush didn't fight, but I think Dana White still paid you. I think you still get your pay for that fight because it's not your fault you didn't fight.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's not your fault.
You didn't breach your contract.
Correct. So that's what happened. So, and Moicano, he had to take it. You have to take that. You know what I mean? That's a shot for gold. You have to take it. Now, having said that, it was dumb. It was, I don't want to say domination, but it really was. I mean, they're standing up, and I'm still not sure, and I've watched it numerous times, because Moicano did drop Makhachev with a punch. Don't know if it was a slip or if his feet were just not positioned the way they should have been. Mm-hmm. However, it's almost like it pissed Makhachev off. It's like, you son of, okay, you want to put your hands on me? And then he just took him down, and they were scrambling, and that quick. From the same camp, Umar Nurmagomedov and Makhachev from the same camp, those Dagestan wrestlers, and whatever have you. And Moicano is ripping and running. They're trying to scramble, and boom, he hits him with a darce. And when he hit him with that darce, you knew it was deep. I mean, it was Python restrictive deep. And sure as shit, man, it wasn't too much longer. He's happened. But I would like to see them run that back and let Moicano get a full camp. Not going to say the outcome is going to be different, because Makhachev, since he's won that belt, you remember Cuz D'Amato used to say, once you win a belt, you automatically become 30% better. Like that's just something he made up. But Cuz D'Amato used to say, once you win a belt, you just get 30% better. Yeah, and, oh man, you don't know where you got those at. But you do sort of, when you get a belt, you work hard, you grind, you do get a little better, you get more confidence, whatever have you. And Makhachev, since he's won that belt, he was phenomenal before. Now he's got it. His game is raised to levels. It's I don't want to say unstoppable, because any man of flesh and blood can be beat. You get that. We know that.
Yep.
But I would love to see Moicano get a full camp, see how that plays out. Not saying that the result is going to be any different. I'd be surprised to see a first round stoppage, and I think Moicano would give a little better than he did, But so it just, and again, knowing he was fighting a wrestler, but I just think you go in with a different, you know what I'm saying? Because he was supposed to fight Dariush, right? Dariush is a good ground guy, and he's grinding, he likes to bring it, but he's not Makhachev. That you have to train the entire camp significantly different when you're going against Makhachev. Have to. So I'd like to see them run that back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're right. But D'Amato's comment to put in the contest probably made a lot more sense back in the single belt era for each weight. Right?
Yeah. And you would have to think you do have to get somewhat better once you win a belt, because it gives you confidence. You're training a little harder. You're training a little better. You're being a little more disciplined. You know what I mean? So I can understand that. Now, again, where he made up 30%, I don't know. But I understand, like I said, I understand where he was coming from. And everything Cuz D'Amato said back in the day was pretty much gold. You know what I mean? So you have to believe what the man is preaching on. But like I said, there was not a whole lot of blood in the main card, but they were good fights, man. They really were. They were good fights.
Awesome.
They were, for as long as they lasted, they were pretty good.
Sounds great, brother. Let's talk about some boxing. Let's shift the gears a little bit. Let's talk about Teo Lopez. So he's calling out a fighter again. Go figure. And he's calling out Tank again. Go figure. He's saying Tank's ducking him. Do you buy into that at all?
No. And I'm trying to find Matthias. I can't think of the dude's last name, and it's slipping my mind. They just offered Tank that fight. Not Tank, excuse me. Teo, and he said no. He declined it. And so I think Teo he's doing a Haney. He's doing a Garcia. Remember Garcia for a year and a half? Garcia didn't fight even before he fought Tank. And he's calling everybody and their mother out, but not doing anything. Teo was offered a great fight, and he turned it down. It'd have been an interesting fight. Could have brought money to him, got his name back on track, and he turned it down. To call out Tank, you're not even on Tank's radar right now, because you are not a money fight. Not to me. I don't think he would be. What do you think? I mean, when you heard it.
Well, honestly, I think Lopez would be it's not okay. It's not. Is it like some of the fights we're going to talk about in a little bit involving like it's not like Tank's a star, but Lopez is right in that next level, that tier 1 guy.
Hold on, because I made this mistake too, right? I had to do. Yeah. I was reading up on it. When you're saying that, because I want to make sure I got this right, okay? He came in to me out of nowhere. I hate to say out of nowhere because we knew of his name, but the average fan didn't. When he beat Lomo, he beat Lomo on ESPN. That was on ESPN.
Yeah.
Okay. He beat Lomo and shook what Ali say? I shook up the world. That really shocked a lot of people. Okay. Then your next fight out, bro, you lose to Kambosos. Kambosos, I get, is not a scrub, but at that time, Haney was, I keep saying Haney, Lopez was, he was on his ship going up. He was truly ascending. And to lose, not even, and it went the distance. It went the distance. You know what I'm saying? And you had, to me, okay, when he beat Lomo, right? He beats Lomo, and then what? A year later, he fights Kambosos. So you sit idle for an entire year, what guys do now, never did before, but that's what you're doing now.
Mm-hmm.
Go back to when he beats Lomo.
Yeah.
If Lomo is here on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the biggest name, Lomo had to be what, an 8 or a 9. His name was pretty big at that point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a shock. That was a shock.
Yes. What do you think Kambosos' name was then? Back in 2021, 3-4 years ago.
5.
Exactly. So that was truly an upset, and you just didn't look good, right? So you lost Kambosos, then you get a split decision against. You get a TKO against, who's his name? Pedro Campa. You got Sandor Martin, excuse me, and then Josh Taylor, and then James Ortiz.
Ortiz, yep.
Okay, and Claggett. He hasn't looked good really since Lomo. Well, he did get against Campa. He got the TKO, but he still caught a little flack for that. Timo hasn't been spoken of positively really since Lomo. Everybody tunes in to see his fights, but he hasn't. So that's why I'm saying I would be like, yeah, Timo's the guy. Timo's the guy. He's a big name. But is he a big name because he's a big name? Or is the money that Tank would think about this before you give me 10 more seconds? Mm-hmm. Would the risk, would the purse be worth the reward for Tank to fight Timo? Do you think he could draw a big purse?
Just taking that question as is, the answer would be no. It wouldn't be. But then there's got to be a follow-up. So if it isn't, then what the hell are you doing? And who are you going to fight? And let's hear the name. And when is it? Because how many fights are we going to have where Tank's like, nah, that's not a name. I don't feel that name. I don't feel that name. And everyone's saying, I don't feel it. And the money's not there. It's like, okay, well, then where is the money? And we know where it's at. Make the fights. Make the fights. That's what we keep. And we'll be talking about that in a little bit. But make the fights then.
Yes.
Like, yeah. You're going to say that fight, I'm not feeling the name. The money's not there. Okay. Well, then where is it and what are you doing about it? Follow up.
Now you bring me to, okay. So what's he have? Maybe 1-2 more guys he can say that about? Maybe Tank? Because you got to take a fight. Because to me, he's fighting his roach. Really? Seriously? Money-wise, I think Teofimo would bring more a bigger payday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect to Lamont Roach, but yeah.
No, none at all. No disrespect at all. And I think you could sell that fight. Definitely the way as they start to promote that, Lopez is going to talk trash.
Oh.
These guys are good. If nothing else, just I don't want to say the WWE aspect of it, but the lights and the eyes on that, the way they're going to sell it, I think that's going to draw more pay-per-view buys. But with Teofimo, he needs this. When I say he needs this, because a Tank fight would definitely, if he could get Tank Shakur, Zepeda. Maybe if he gets Zepeda. Not sure he'd be the favorite in any of those, but he has depending on which Teo shows up. Because mentally, he lacks sometimes.
Yeah.
And then when your mental isn't there, the physical's not there. So if the Teofimo mentally can come in and fight Lomo, that's a bad dude. That is a bad boy. Now, let's not forget, technically to me, Lomo gave away the first 5 to 6 rounds of that fight. Just didn't have enough time to come on. However, you got to give Teofimo Lopez credit because he was smart enough to take those first few rounds when Lomo was giving him up, and he held on and didn't get knocked out when Lomo was coming on in the end.
Right.
So, to me, if Teofimo shows up, mind, body, everything on one accord, that's a hell of a he's a good fighter. He really is. Now we just need to see if we can get that. You know what I mean? So there's other fights out there for him, as in Teofimo, just his name, because you're always going to be, I got to watch to see which Teofimo's showing up. Yeah. But Tank, like you said, man, you're either going to have to go up to 140 or something, because if you're continuing to, I don't want to say duck, but if you're not saying that guy's the right guy, then what are you going to do? You know, because to be honest with you, when he and Haney, when he and Garcia were battling and banging and talking about, Tank was he was ready. He was the man. Who did he fight? Was that Martin? Didn't think Martin deserved that. I'm not trying to say no disrespect to Martin because he's a gamer, but there were better fights out there than you for you than that, Tank. You know, you're fighting Roach. Roach is a great guy and he wants to fight, but there's bigger names, better names out there for you than that. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. But Tank, you can't keep denying everybody. You cannot keep denying everybody.
No, I hear you. And, before we switch gears from, I am no fan personally of Lopez. I don't like the things he says. I don't like how he acts. I just don't. But I respect his ability, and I will pay to see him fight because but again, and there's that intrigue. Which Lopez are you going to get? But that, he's got a bit of a resume. You name some guys up. He beat Richard Comey before that.
Yes.
And that's what got him that fight, because he handled Comey pretty.
Yes,
that was nice. And
he was rising. Okay, answer this honestly, because when he beat Lomo, even if you say if that had been a fight back in the 80s where they went 15 rounds, Lomo wins that. Okay, and I believe that, but it didn't go 15, and he got the law. He got the win. He, as in. Got the win. Lopez, when he beat Lomo, and like you said, against Comey and this, that, and the third, his star was on the rise. And when he beat Lomo, I was like, yo, this young cat can be around for a while as champ. He can hold that belt for a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and let's not forget, remember when he retired for a minute because he was going through that divorce? I don't know if that was a ploy on aspect, once we're divorced and paperwork is finalized, any future earnings she has no right to. I don't know. Or if mentally he really loved his wife and he didn't want to get, I don't know. Nobody knows what that mental takes on a person. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be interesting. But I really thought once he beat Lomo, I said, this cat he's going to be somebody. His name's going to be up there. I really did.
But this is a cautionary tale. And also an explanation as to why fighters are acting this way right now. You got a Lopez who gets a huge win over Loma, and then what does he do? He coughs it right back up the next fight against Kambosos. So you've got all these guys wanting to protect their O, right? And so it's like, oh, well, look what happened to Teo. Look what happened to Teo. Look what Teo did. So I don't know, but it's all excuses to me.
And you're right. And that is what people say because nobody wants to lose the O. Mm-hmm. And that's what they'll remember. Look at him. He won, he got the belt, and he got a loss. But nobody will say none of these younger fighters are looking. You're absolutely right. But after that loss, he's 4-0. He hasn't looked the greatest, but he was able to win and get you. But nobody looks at that anymore. You know what I mean? Back then, we started watching boxing when we had the mindset to be the best, you had to beat the best. Yeah. Nobody's like that. They're all, I want to fight who I can fight to make the most money. Yeah. And it's not about word I'm going to use now that we'll talk about later. It's not about legacy to a lot of these guys. It's about my bank account. It's not about legacy. It's not about going down as one of the best fighters in the world. You know what I mean? Think about Floyd Mayweather. Think about money, you know, money Mayweather. He talks about how much he made, People talk about how much he made. He was a businessman. He's a businessman and who he fought. But if you talk to most boxing enthusiasts, a lot of them don't even put Floyd in the top 10 of their greatest all time.
Yeah, I scoff at that, but I'm not a huge fan of his, but to not have him in the top 10.
And here's why though. If you take him when he was Pretty Boy Floyd, nobody could touch him. Chop Corley, all those guys. He took on anybody and everybody who was there to be taken on.
Yeah. But
when he became Money Mayweather, you can say whatever you want. He pushed back again, kept pushing back. The
Pacquiao fight.
Mm-hmm. Never even looked at fighting Ricky Hatton again. Canelo. As Canelo got older. You know what I mean? Did he, I hate to say duck, but did he fight Amir Khan? I don't think, because remember Amir Khan was coming up, and Khan was a good one.
He didn't, but Canelo put his lights out in round 5. I remember that.
That's Canelo, but remember Canelo was more advanced. He was getting older. He was more aggressive, and because that's what a lot of people said. Mayweather caught Canelo young, never wanted to fight him again. You know, so
Mayweather, his blemish in my eyes is the way he pushed back the Pacquiao fight.
Yeah,
he pushed that back way too long, and maybe I'm sure Pacquiao had a hand in that too. I'm not denying that, but there's no doubt Mayweather had a hand in that. But his resume, he fought some legendary fighters, and Maidana, you damn near beat him the first time. Some people think he did, but he fought him again.
Yeah.
I'll give him the credit. I give him full credit for that. He fought a young Canelo, which was smart. He got him early.
Yeah.
Early, as opposed to getting him late. But I don't know. I know
you're more of a fan of Mayweather than I am. Now
I just appreciate
Pretty Boy
defensively as Money Mayweather. You couldn't touch him. He was
True.
so hard to hit. So Shane Mosley's the only guy I saw clip him.
Yeah, but also in the same token, one of the reasons I like De La Hoya, hell, he moved up to fight Bernard Hopkins. He fought any and all comers till the day he retired.
Yep.
That's the only thing that bothered me about Floyd. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that bothered me about Floyd.
So if Tank doesn't want Teo, Shakur's still out there. Chops, go figure. And check this out. And I believe he did say this because I saw this on social media. He's not trying to get a 50-50 split. He's willing to take, I saw a 30-70 split.
Yeah.
But is this just a ploy to get Tank into the ring by saying, hey, I'll give you almost half the money back that I would have wanted just to fight me?
Yes. And it definitely is, because let's put it this way. Even if he takes 70-30, right? And I think his camp should probably get 65-35, you know what I mean? Whatever. But let's say he wins 70-30. I still think that's going to be a pay-per-view card. And that 30, and if they work something out on the back end, he could still, even if he took 30, he'd still make more in that 30 than he's going to make whatever he's making in this Schofield fight. So on the business aspect of it, it's smart because Tank will bring in the money. His name will bring that money. So your draw is going to be higher regardless of what your split is compared to what you're getting now. Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. You get that fight. It's going to be, for lack of a better term, just in style wise, Sugar Ray and Hagler, where on the aspect of Hagler went for the knockout, Hagler was always vicious, his Tank is always vicious. Shakur is a boxer like Sugar Ray. Now, Sugar Ray could still stand in front of you and put his hands on you. You know what I'm saying? Where that's not Shakur. But where I'm saying Sugar Ray and Hagler is because when Sugar Ray fought Hagler, he never put himself in harm's way.
No.
Right? And he never even hurt Hagler. He just outpointed him. And he knew that's what he's going to do from day one.
Yep.
So Shakur could fight. He could get a nicer payday fighting Tank. But honestly, the way he looks against Schofield, to me, would be number one, if Tank even considers it. And number two, if you fight Tank, he's going to continue to come. And once you're in that ring, he's going to continue. And at some point, Shakur is going to either have to plant his feet and fight back, or you're going to get the moniker, you are a runner. You ran the entire fight. And how do judges like that? You know what I mean? You ran the entire fight. So on the business aspect, you could make a lot of money with this fight. And it is a ploy to get him in the ring, get Tank in the ring, but that's why.
Yeah.
But on the back end, if you don't look impressive, that could be it. And I say that could be it because why would anybody else want to fight Tank? You know what I'm saying? What do you think? What do you think about it?
Well, I think if Stevenson really wants this Davis fight, he needs to win like you said, convincing against Schofield. There's no doubt about that. And I think that's on the better Bevo undercard.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got to show out. He's got to show an aggressive side. He's got to show some power. He's got to do. We know he can box. We know he's greasy fast. I mean, he's a great fighter, a great boxer. But he's got to show he can fight too. And he's got to show he's got to get that crowd amped up. And if they see that, that's going to be a huge pay-per-view buy. I mean, that's a huge card, and we're going to preview that fight soon. But if he can show out on that and on that stage, yeah, then maybe we're talking here. It's what he has to do. And it's just what he's going to have to do to prove himself out. If he thinks he can, to your point, basically, run around for 12 rounds and just grab a quick decision, that is not going to get it done. He ought to know that by now.
And we'll get further into it the closer the fight gets, Schofield and Shakur, but I want to put this out there now. Mm-hmm. Let's keep an eye on how he fights Schofield. Does he try to make it a little bit more interesting? Does he try to say, okay, I'm not going into the lion's den, but, I'll get near the fire a little bit. I'll because he's going to have, on the one hand, dance with who brought you. What is your style? Don't change it because that's what got you to this level. Sure. But on the other hand, your style may not get you to the next level because you can say what you want. Boring fighters aren't big draws. And I hate skill set wise, he's as good as anybody out there. But he's boring. I hate to say that about the young man, but he is, you know what I mean? So I don't want him to get inside his feelings because as much as I wasn't a Mayweather fan, when he became Money Mayweather never got into his feelings. He never let, and when I say never got into his feelings, he never let outside ring people booing or whatever influence how he fought. He never let the talking heads or people influence him on who he fought.
He antagonized it, quite frankly.
Yes, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. So you can't blame him for that. So I want to see if Shakur stays with who he is, or does he try something totally different? And we'll see how it works. He needs to be more aggressive. That I believe.
That fight's worth watching just for that simple fact is what it could lead to. Here's one that we'd really like to see happen, and they keep talking. It's getting closer. Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Bud Crawford. Chops, let's talk about this one. What do you think's behind this fight? If it goes down.
Okay. Well, first off, like you see right here, as you put in, is it for legacy or money?
Yeah.
Totally money for both of them, but for Bud more than Canelo, right? I saw and I read that it is going to be at 168.
Yeah. With no registration.
I know.
That shocks me.
Yes, because let's not forget, Canelo's fought at 174?
Yeah.
So if Canelo comes down to 160, and I don't know what Bud is doing. Bud is getting in his feelings, trying to show everybody I am what I am. Okay. But if you want to fight a guy that's almost 190, 200 pounds, and he's a guy off the street or he's the best at his local gym, I'm still going with Bud.
Yeah.
But Bud, you're going against a world-class boxer, and you put a no rehydration clause, that could be crucial. Because if he weighs in at 168, then he balloons up to 180, 185, that could be that. I'm interested to see, because if you fight at 168, I don't know what your walking around weight is. If you can come down to 168, But if you balloon back up to 180, how comfortable do you feel going live? You know what I mean? Because live is different than sparring.
From what I've read, Bud walks around at 165.
Jeez.
So he's going to have to pack on some pounds here to muscle to make the weight. And he will, realistically, I would say, without rehydration, Canelo's probably coming in around 185, 190, and Bud's coming in about 170, 175.
Yes. Would you now think about this? If he walks around at 165,
yep.
I don't see him having to lose. He's not losing any weight to get to 168. Now, you know this from drilling, sparring, and working out in the gym. If you're just sitting around during Christmas and New Year's, you can put on 10 pounds, just whatever.
How'd you know?
If you're
I did.
If you're a fighter and you want to move up a weight class or two, putting on 10 pounds correctly takes time and is hard. It is hard.
I'm someone who struggled with my weight for my whole life, Chops. Believe it or not, I've struggled with it. But when I got down to 170 to 165, to go up to 175, 180 the right way. Oh, geez.
It was hard. Yes.
Oh, I did.
You're eating more than you want to, but you got to eat the right stuff. And you're like, I don't want any more protein. I don't want you to you got to measure your meals. And I understand Bud has a world-class team. I understand he's going to have a dietitian, all that. I get that. But you're not going up to 168 to fight the guy at the local gym. So you're going live, and you know it. Sparring is different than live. You know this. I just don't know, man. I'm not liking it for Bud. Like I said, you could unify it with Fundura. Fight Charlo, whatever. Charlo, I'm sorry, Charlo. Yeah, fight Charlo. Unify at 154. Maybe see who's at 160. Fight a nice guy at 160. 168. That's a major jump, big dog. That's major.
When this fight first was being talked about, I automatically said they should have a 165 catch weight because Canelo ain't coming down to 160, and I didn't think it was right to have Bud fighting above what his walking around weight is. I was really surprised to see it. These might be the terms of the contract. Now I want to see the fight. I think this is more about it's definitely about money. There's no doubt about that because they're going to make a boatload of it. God bless them. They'll take some from me too. I'm sure from me as well. But I think it's more about Bud's legacy because Canelo's got a legacy. And let's talk about this real quick. Bud Crawford and Tank Davis. Okay, two great fighters. People avoided Bud like a plague. No one called out Bud.
No.
No one called out Triple G. No one called those cats out.
No.
Tank's getting called out left and right. He really is. He's getting called back. And I'm not saying not by punk fighters either. Very good fighters. But no one wanted any part of Bud Crawford or Triple G. And not because they didn't have name parts, because they knew they were bad boys. Tank is too, but I don't get it. What do you think?
Here's the thing, though. Different eras. And when I hate to say different eras, because right now they're both fighting, Tank and Bud. But Bud is what 10 years, almost 10 years older, right? So you go back 10 years ago when he was in his prime and he was on the come up, like Tank is on the come up. If you talk trash, those guys was going to see you. Some point, that social media, we're going to see. Now guys have Twitter beefs, Twitter wars. Really? Yeah. You know what I mean? So I think it's a different era. So I think guys are calling out, like, okay, think about it. Again, Teofimo is calling out Tank.
Yeah.
Timo, you just turned down a fight for a decent fighter, Matthias. You just turned that down. So you don't really want to fight Tank. You don't really want to fight because you're not fighting Matthias. You're not. But I'll come on. It gets me clicks. It gets me views to say I'm calling out this guy, to say I'm calling out that guy. You know what I mean? So, and then not trying to be funny, Tank, you're saying you're the best of the best and you going around talking trash, this, that, and the third, but you're fighting the Lamont Roach. You're fighting Frank White. You know what I mean? Again, say what you want, but as De La Hoya came up, when Pretty Boy Floyd was coming up and they're on their grind on the come up, they're fighting the best of the best they can get in. You know what I'm saying? I just, it's different to me now. You know what I mean? It's different to me now. And it stinks that Bud needs this for his legacy, because you say that, and there are probably other people that think that way for you too, that you do too, that it's for his legacy, because a lot of the guys ducked him. I just think you could find some decent fighters at 160. But going up to 160, that's 2 weight classes, bro. That's 2 weight classes. And and you can't, you as in Bud, you can't go up 2 weight classes and get a tune-up fight. You can't.
No.
You cannot get a tune-up fight because you don't have that luxury. Because if you don't look good, you lose money against Canelo. Who wants to see that now? God forbid you get beat. You can't beat this joker. Why am I going to put you in the ring with a true killer in Canelo? It's not going to happen. So I see why he's doing it. Not saying I like it. And the fact that maybe it is lazy, not just because the fact you're putting in no rehydration clause, you just want to get that man in the ring. You don't even care. You just want to get him in the ring. We'll see. Maybe Bud is thinking, if I can get him to come in at 180, which he never fights it, he's heavier. Maybe my speed, my quickness, my agility. Now you're fighting 20 pounds heavier than normal. We'll see. We'll see. Now I'm quite sure Bud still hits the bag, and he's in there sparring at 165, whatever have you.
Yeah.
But it's not the same in front of 20,000, however many Vegas holds, this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see, brother. We will see.
Well, speaking of that, there's, His Excellency is trying to make some things happen. He's shaking up the boxing world, in a good way in a lot of ways. But Tim Bradley doesn't agree, Chops. He's kind of called them out, saying, over suggesting a boxing league. And he's suggesting more like a boxing commissioner, like a la that, all the other major pro sports. Does it make sense to you? Is Tim Bradley on point here, or is he kind of just taking some swipes at him?
Everything, both things you just said, both things can be true. Yes, he makes major sense, because if you could get rid of these other boxing, WBO, WBA, IBF, if you could get rid of them, or even if say you kept them, but only way you can be in this league is your number one contender is going to fight this number one contender. You know what I'm saying? We're always putting together the best fights. Now, so he is right on that aspect. Mm-hmm. A league and a commissioner would be great. But Turk puts together the fights he wants to see. Turk is valued at well over $2 billion. Why in the world would he want a headache of putting and making sure all these boxing bodies are following rules and this, that? No. What I'll do is I will bring in the fighters that I want to see. As we were just talking about Bud and Canelo. You do realize Turk met with both of those guys, and they both agreed to fight. Now, where I think he made a mistake is maybe neither one wanted to. He should have met down with both of them together. What will it take to get y'all into the ring? And I got to believe Turk did that. One of them declined. I got to believe that, because I believe he didn't want to do that, right? Mm-hmm. So having said that, Turk puts the fights together that he wants to see. And I do believe, I don't think these young fighters want Turk as the commissioner, because Turk will demand you fight the best. He's not going to let you, no, I won't fight this guy, he's the best, but I'm going to call out this guy. I don't think Turk will allow it. So yes, Bradley's right on time that's what it needs. But this is a hobby for Turk. This is a hobby. And when I say a hobby, he puts the fights together that he wants to see. Why? And he's having a good time doing it. Why do I want to take on another major headache? This boxer will do this. This boxer in his camp are being a bunch of male contestants. They're not. Why would he want that headache? That's what's your 2 cents? I gave mine. What's your 2 cents?
You make a lot of sense. You do. I do respect that I like the idea of what he was trying to do. I think Bradley's right. I think if you had a commissioner and basically, it'd be like baseball. You get the American League, you get the National League, you get WBC, you get WBA, IBF, WBO. Great. Independence. Okay. But the commissioner's he's gonna be the matchmaker. In essence, the promoters will become agents more so.
Yeah.
So the De La Hoyas and all the, all those cats, Bob Arum and all those cats, they'll be agents. They're not going to be necessarily, they'll be promoting the fight for their own benefit, but they don't have to. The league's going to do that in that.
Yeah. Now, I would like to see if that happens, if Turk can make it. Okay, look here, we're having this and this. If you're under me and you want to join the league I'm setting up, you're going to be in the biggest fights. and you're going to get paid king's ransom. But if you don't have to join. But just know I'm not getting involved in any of those fights, and your purses will be peanuts. Because think about it. The Haneys at Hearn, they're now trying to go to Turk to jump. Don King reached out to Turk. Turk didn't reach out to Don King. He's not reaching out to these other guys because he can pay for the fights he wants to see. You know what I'm saying? So having said that, if I'm Turk or whoever decides to do this, and say Turk did do it, I'd like to see, because Turk is I'd like for him to take another young Saudi under his belt that maybe he starts the league. And Turk is nothing more than an advisor. He takes an advisory role. So having said that, the other young guy comes up with the rules. He's the one who has to deal with all the headaches. But when it's time for fights, Turk, I got 5-6 fighters. Which ones do you think we'd like to see? Put these two together, and this is why. Or come up, you got 5, 6, 7 fighters. Put these 2, 3, or 4 fights together. The winners get this, boom, boom, boom. And because I think Turk would put a lot of round robin tournaments together.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. I think it'd be great.
When's the last time we saw that? Like that when the IBF, was that the light? No, it was the cruiserweight tournament.
Man,
the super middleweight tournament. IBF had the Superman Showtime.
Yes. Oh man, the Showtime's not even in existence anymore. So it would be huge to have it. It'd be huge. I just don't think they do it. I don't think they do it.
Hey, we've got a couple minutes left, Chops. Let's talk real quick about the triple header, if you will, in New York in May. King Ryan's getting back in the ring. Devin Haney's getting back in the ring. These are and they got to take care of business. And Martin Bacole's going to be on this card, but Devin Haney's going to be drawing Jose Ramirez, and Raleigh Romero is going to fight Ryan Garcia. Assuming Garcia and Haney win their fights, they're supposed to meet in November or December, and that's the agreement. And this is, I believe, this isn't the First Ring Magazine tournament. This is going to be a pretty big one up in New York City. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Like you said, we're pressed for time. I'm only going to talk about Haney and Ramirez. I'm interested in that one because Ramirez is no chump. Ramirez will bring it. Ramirez has some power. I don't know what Haney we're getting.
Yeah.
Is his defense better? Will he be himself? Because let's not forget, against Garcia, he fooled us all. I thought he was a head case. Oh, yeah. I think Haney and his father thought he was a head case because Haney tried to take the fight to Garcia. It's almost like Haney wanted to fight that in a phone booth. Let's put our toes on the line and let's throw.
Respect
Haney,
that.
That's not you, but that's not Haney's fight.
Yeah.
Haney was a guy who moved, hit you, get in, get out, and moved, and was a superb boxer. You wanted to be a slugger against a guy who was on PEDs, which I admit you didn't know, didn't make weight, and was significantly heavier.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I need to see what Haney we get. Do you go back to the talented boxing skill set you showed before Garcia, number one? And number two, how are you going to react when you get hit with that first hard shot? That's what I want to see. Mentally, where do you go?
Yeah.
Where do you go mentally? You know what I'm saying? Because mental, mental is a huge part. Even like when I'm now on a treadmill, I cover up the time. I have to cover up the time because I cover up the time because I don't want, it seems like every second goes forward, a second half goes backward. And then mentally, if I think I'm moving, I'm rolling, and I look, and I think I've been on there for 10 minutes, and I've been on there for 2.5 minutes, mentally, it screws me up. So mental is a big thing, man. Mental. So whatever he has to do to cope with that mentally, and I'm interested to see what we get. That's my biggest thing. And we got time to talk about the rest of it, but for me, that's what I want to touch on. That's what I want to see, the mental. Where is Haney mentally?
Yeah, and I'm fully with you on that one. Ramirez is a nice opponent, somebody he should beat, but definitely going to challenge him. Now, Raleigh Romero was somebody that King Ryan should probably beat too. However, Romero's got a resume too.
Yes,
I'd like to see how Garcia responds if he gets touched a couple of times by Romero, because he will. But I think realistically, Haney didn't respect Garcia enough in that fight. The way that he didn't respect him, and you got to respect the guy. He's got a hell of a lot of talent. Hey, Chat's been real as always. Thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Don't forget to don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. We're also got a Facebook page. We're also on the ESEN network every Friday night at 10 p.m. For Chops, I'm Drew. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you for watching the Haymakers and Submissions podcast. You can find us on the ESEN network on the Roku app every Friday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time beginning on October 4th, 2024. Check us out on Twitter X. Our handle is @HeySubPod, capital H, capital S, capital P. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single episode. Just go to your web browser and type in www.youtube.com/@Haymakers and Submissions podcast, as we will drop content weekly. Whether it's boxing, MMA, or wrestling that gets you fired up, you'll get all you need right here at the Haymakers and Submissions podcast.